3, 2, 1.
So I finally beat Subnautica. I might be a decade too late, but whatever. Today I'm going to share my thoughts on each of the vehicles in Subnautica from my first ever playthrough. I did play this on Xbox, so my opinions may change once I complete my computer run. First, we have the Sea Glide. The Sea Glide is usually the first vehicle you build in the game, but it stayed viable throughout my playthrough. It eased early traversal, collecting food, navigating through wrecks, and desperately trying not to drown as my oxygen ran out. I even used it as a flashlight instead of the actual one to save on inventory space. Later on, I still used it to navigate areas when I couldn't bring a larger vehicle. It even saved me from a Reaper attack when my Seamoth was thrown into the sky. I also have to mention the goofy waddle animation, which is just perfect. The Sea Glide was my lifeline, and probably the most useful tool except for the literal repair tool, which is saying a lot. I'll do my overall rankings of each at the end, so now on to the Seamoth. Boy did I use this a lot during mid-game. The Seamoth expanded my adventuring range, allowing me to dive deeper and stay there longer. From the Mushroom Forests, the Bulb Zone, the Blood Kelp Zone, and Lost River, this was my go-to vehicle. Adding upgrades like storage and solar charging made the Seamoth perfect for long journeys. And then trying to search for Cyclops fragments, I lost it. I was scared to visit the crash zone and explore the Aurora, especially because of what happened the first time. But the addition of a sonar on my trusty Seamoth made that all possible. I wouldn't have either of the next two vehicles without the Seamoth, but its time was fleeting. Even with fully upgraded depth modules, it can only go down 900 meters, which is only a little over half the maximum depth of the Prawn Suit and Cyclops. By game design, it wasn't meant to last, and as I went deeper into the caves of 4546B, it was phased out. The Seamoth was a faithful submarine, but to no fault of its own, it lost its purpose as I went further into the game. From the Seamoth to a larger vehicle, we move on to the Cyclops. Let me be honest, I don't really like the Cyclops. I had no problem using it as a transport vehicle for the Prawn Suit or Seamoth when trying to explore deeper, but the worst part of the Cyclops for me was trying to navigate with its lack of visibility and unique movement, as it made descending into caves an absolute chore. This may be because I have no skill or lack talent, but I'm just here sharing my experience. Power became another problem, but once I got ion power cells and the thermal reactor, that it ceased to be an issue. Oh, fire suppression helped a lot too. Now there are some things about the Cyclops that I haven't explored that could change my opinion about it in the future. With the habitat builder, the Cyclops can become a mobile base of sorts where you can live entirely out of it. The lower deck has a ton of storage, meaning I wouldn't have to return to a main base if I had packed enough food and water for the expeditions I'd go on. In future playthroughs, there are definitely more ways I can use the Cyclops to my advantage than I did in my first playthrough. But that hasn't happened yet, and my opinion isn't changed, so I still don't care for the Cyclops. We change gears from the Cyclops to Subnautica's golden boy, the Prawn Suit. Take everything about the Seamoth and make it better. That's the Prawn Suit. It has built-in storage, double the energy, and makes you feel like you're in Pacific Rim. Obviously the better one. You not only have 4 upgrade spots like other vehicles, but also 2 arm attachments to customize your experience. And while punching and grabbing items with the default arms are fun, I had to go for the drill arm and grappling hook arm for deep cave exploration. I have noticed that the Prawn Suit takes longer to repair, but with the Leviathans that it's attacked by, I can forgive that. My only other issue was the movement, as the basic propulsion system was kind of weak, and the Prawn Suit often clipped into other geometry found throughout the game. Upgrading with the improved propulsion system makes the Prawn Suit super fun to use, and combining it with the grappling arm allows you to fly across the landscape. Adding thermal charging made it a walking fortress in the lava zone, and adding ion power cells sealed the deal. I even began to leave the Cyclops behind, sitting there next to my Seamoth unused at my base. The Prawn Suit took over my playthrough and took me to the end game. As long as I stocked up on supplies, I could venture out without fear and explore the secrets of this world. People like the prawn suit, and I completely agree. Now, with my opinions on the table, we'll move on to rankings and final thoughts. If you noticed, I never used the word torpedo or decoy anywhere because I didn't use them in any of the vehicles. I basically went on a pacifist run, except for all the animals I ran over, and the stalker I shanked to death for his teeth, which he didn't even give me any. I guess I'll be a violent capitalist on another world. Finally, we arrive at the rankings. If you could tell by the rest of the video, in 4th place is the Cyclops, as right now I haven't really used it to its capabilities, but for this playthrough specifically, it didn't serve much of a purpose other than the transport, and it was really clunky, despite it being cool to have a giant submarine that you could control. In 3rd place is the Seamoth, and I used this a lot early to mid-game. It helped me explore a bunch of new areas, and helped me acquire the Cyclops and the prawn suit, so it does have its purpose, but eventually, due to game design, it became useless. In 2nd place is the Sea Glide. While not being the full package, it does provide so many options for exploration, which the others could not. You could put it in smaller spaces, and you really use it during the entirety of the playthrough, so it had to get a top spot. And in our number 1 spot is the prawn suit, of course. The internet is sometimes right, and this is one of those cases. It is truly a vehicle that, if I had at the beginning of the game, would probably be one of the only ones I'd use, alongside the Sea Glide for some small exploration outside the suit. The designers definitely knew what they were doing when they created it. Here's some Sea Emperor gameplay for the sick freaks in the Subnautica community, and that is all I have for the video. Comment down below your thoughts on each of the vehicles. If I'm just bad at the game, if you agree or disagree, let's start a conversation. Like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, and thank you for watching and listening.